We've got next one up is Teresa Dzieglewicz. She's a poet and educator whose accolades include a Pushcart Prize, a Dorset Prize for her first book of poetry, Something Small of How to See a River, which is on the table over there, as well as several other prizes and fellowships. She's a fellow with the Black Earth Institute and a poet in residence at the Chicago Poetry Center. Her first children's book, Belonging, is forthcoming from Chronicle Books. Please welcome her to the mic.
The story starts like this, with scraps of shell, and the river just beginning to chisel her bed across the not yet prairie, to score through prehistoric fangs of cats, sea glass smooth ribs of swept away mammals. No nation damns her yet. No, now she sows and sows, the once hinged hull of a mussel, a limpet emptied of its triangular heart. And new mineral starts to cling, spends centuries swelling, globe-like and resistant around this swallowed archive. Now weathering, polishing away the shale banks, revealing the shapes up to 10 feet in diameter. In Lakota, this place is called the Iawakagapi Wakpa, or Sacred Stone River. But when the soldiers came, saw the sunlit stones, warm and breathy as eggs, they rechristened it the Cannonball. Because when destiny means only more and more, when all your tools are weapons, even a river starts to look like a war. Thank you so much for, thank you. Thank you so much for having me here tonight. This is an amazing space. What an amazing crowd and turnout. What an honor to read with these other incredible readers. So I want to just very quickly tell you a little bit about my book and this project. Do folks here kind of remember what happened in 2016 at Standing Rock with the water protector movement to stop the Dakota Access Pipeline? Yes. Great. I have been reading to a lot of college students lately, and everyone's like, "What's that?" So this is refreshing. Okay. So just very quick then. So Energy Transfer Partners tried to reroute the Dakota Access Pipeline from a predominantly white area of the state of North Dakota to directly above the reservation, Standing Rock, which is a place that is treaty land, and also crossing the Missouri, which of course is the water source for many, many, many people, including many tribal nations. So it was a giant indigenous movement and gathering. I was very fortunate to be able to be a part of it. My friend Elena Eagleshield started a school for the kids who were living at the camp. And so I lived there for 5 months and helped her run a school. And so this book is about that. I want to acknowledge fully that I am a white woman. This book is very much about whiteness and movement spaces, which is a really important thing for me to talk about and think about. And I also don't want to be the only thing anyone ever reads about the Dakota Access Pipeline and the water protector movement. I have a whole bunch of books if you want to look at them after, but I also just always love to recommend Orion Magazine had a feature called Women in Standing Rock. It's very Googleable, Orion Magazine, and they have photographs and poems by Indigenous women talking about the movement. All right, I promise I'm going to read a poem soon, but I just want to give you a little context for this one. So I always want to read this poem because I am a little bit obsessed with thinking about joy in movement spaces. And I think that that's something we really need right now, right? To keep finding joy in each other, to keep finding joy in resistance work, as there is so much state violence and oppression happening. So I had this terrible car at the camp. It was this like old Pontiac Vibe. It was falling apart. The kids were obsessed with it. All they wanted to do was be in my old Pontiac Vibe. And also once in a while, like they wanted to drive it. They wanted just, every once in a while I had to go to the casino, which was nearby, to go do incredibly boring things. Like be like, please send money. And they were always like, why are you going to someplace that we know has running water and grilled cheese and leaving us here behind? So this is a poem about them taking it into their own hands. And I am so Italian American that I'm going to have to move this so I don't gesticulate it over. All right. There are no police in this poem. Only the kids balancing in their snow boots, the log beneath them rainbowed in resistance slogans, slush gray light interrupted by the bright flags of their arms. They waved down our car, teachers, teachers. We unclick the loose tooth of each manual lock, and the dinged up doors, full weight of the kids on their handles, fly open like the arms of startled infants. There are no police in this poem. Only Shawnee Ray, my foot as her springboard, vaulting to the council, asterisking my borrowed skirt with the juice of her gas station pickle. Only Shelby's hands winging my books from the back seat, and Shaylina, who can't be bothered, wedging her knees into the narrow volumes of poetry, slick picture book covers. I'm saying there are no police in this car. Where Frankie lunges over everybody, her arms and long black cape of a coat wrapped around baby Dylan, Marshmallow Man in his snow pants, fingers Sour Patch sticky, and somehow, suddenly, my hands, my feet are off the wheels, the pedals, all the teachers are ankle deep in the snow. I am a shivering spectator of this wild joy. And I can see it doesn't belong to me, but I can love it anyhow. There are no police anywhere. As Emma's elbow pokes the horn, beep, 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 jostling through the snow muffle of prairie, as Raina and Nyla and RJ co-sardine the driver's seat, getaway curls smushed on the felt of the ceiling. There are no seats left in the car. So Michael and Leighton scramble the windshield, sprawl on the roof. There are only the kids, shouting the ecstatic tally of themselves. 1, 2, 3, all the way to 14, as they take this frame that looked so inflexible and there, make space for each of their bodies. Okay, I'm gonna just read one more, but it's a long one. So if you need to just stretch your arms quick, go for it. Move your body. In general, if you need to get up, if you need to move your body, move your body. So like I said, I was at the camp for 5 months. I went home for Christmas. Home became a very complicated idea. But I left for Christmas, intending to come back to the camp and come back to the school, and needed to have emergency back surgery, and did not end up going back. And so when the camp was ultimately torn down by the state, I was not I was in St. Louis where I was living, and so I had to watch it via live stream. And so this is a poem. This is a poem from that. The camp was called Ocheti Shakoi, which means seven council fires. I'm sorry, I just actually did a week of book tour with one of my students from the school, and she read with me. She's in these poems quite a bit. Her name is Frankie, you'll hear her. And so I'm just a little bit extra emotional reading it tonight, actually. Baking bread as Ocheti Shakoi is rated. 1. Nobody stands at North Gate anymore when bulldozers lumber the slope, score the dirt with their teeth, scatter men who slash teepees in the wet earth where we once lived. Winona's kitchen, the tent where the kids donned rubber gloves, ladled soup into hundreds of bowls, crumples like a foal in the snow. The sheriff calls this victory. I am very happy to say that we finally introduced the rule of law in Ocheti camp. And I am not there. I don't want to tell you this, but I am leaning against my stove in St. Louis, clutching a recipe's flimsy page, written in black and white as the blurry window of my computer streams Ocheti in from the edge of my counter. I am just a woman whose back will not support her in a city that hides its water behind high voltage lines and highway, starburst windows of forgotten factories. The bulldozers power toward the cannonball river I slept beside, churn the earth and the roots of each plant as central heat pumps like an old heart through my house. 2. I used to trust in the words that were put on my tongue. I called this river Missouri, but learned no language for the dams redirecting the water, holding back the stories of the silt and the clay. I never learned of the children who were taken from its side. I never learned why I was taught to sing, "This land is my land." 3. The county commissioner says he's proud. The camp was cleared without any major injuries. And I remove a glass measuring cup from my shelf. Travis's plywood home, where he practiced the songs he would sing with the kids, the home he built with his hands, spray painted, "We are unarmed," erupts into flames. I unfold the origami of the flower's silent mouth. The bulldozers turn and shred the hay bales that kept our teepees warm in the wind, yank the foundation from Tonia's wigwam, where Shailena and Shawnee last hugged me goodbye. The bag coughs flour like dandelion seed, and I cannot come clean of it, coating my fingers white, wedged white between the threads of my sweater, burrowed white in the split wood of my counter. On the screen, assault rifles push the last few people to the river. 4. Some days I lean against my sink, feel the grinding in my spine. And I am ashamed to say that some small piece of me wishes I could close the window, simply follow the directions that have been written so clearly before me. Let my world be the chipped white of my cabinets, the shift of pots and pans above my head. Forget I ever lived beside a river. But the Missouri and the Mississippi become one, even here, and reach me each time I turn my tap. When the edges of the cannonball overflow, touch the places along the riverbank where we sought sticks for drums and studied the plants and sat in circles and sang. The water runs here. Every day I brush my teeth with occhetti. Every day I wash my clothes with occhetti. Every day it is occhetti that fills my glass. 5. On the feed, the soldiers are chasing Eric, who made tea for our coughs, dipping into jars of marshmallow root and ginger and osha. Once he measured herbs with the kids as I measure my water to the line, stir until strands of gluten begin to form. The camera bucks and I see only a river of sky and Eric is screaming. 6. The governor says he is glad. The efforts have gone so smoothly. And one by one, each feed blinks out. 7. What we built is now just mud and sleet, ash and firewood broken by bulldozer chains. Still, I see the sacred fire in the summer. Frankie braiding my hair in the food line, Wolf and Junior grass dancing in the firelight. I don't know when the pipeline will run beneath the river, when the water will brush its strange plastic tubes before it reaches our lips. I don't know if this bread will ever rise or when or where the first oil will leak. But I am learning something small of how to see a river. To see the drowning beneath the water, and see also the kids on the bank, covered in temporary tattoos, hair spiked from days of swimming. They are praying for the construction workers. Help them understand their kids drink water too. Tobacco sprinkles from their fingers is taken in the breath of the current.